Hey guys, this is Looney and welcome to the first Speedy Saturdays wrap-up. In this series, we put a bunch of Minecraft players together in a 12-hour survival world to see what they can do within this time limit. After the timer expires, everybody goes into spectator mode and we can't change anything about the world we've been playing in. This first edition of Speedy Saturdays had an 8-player cast and they went off to a flying start. First 4 players were online at the beginning of the server. They found themselves on a hillside and there's lots of trees around, so everybody started collecting wood and got underground as quickly as possible. Because we didn't really manage to find any surface caves during the first day, people just started punching into mountainsides and going straight down hoping to find something of a cave system. I myself got pretty lucky because I mined straight into a cave inside of the extreme hills biome and found a nice place to set up a base underground to get my first bit of iron. Since the cave I had found was pretty low down in the world, I started looking around and actually found a lava pool and diamonds, which is a very good start to the game. We were only 15 minutes in, but everybody online was pretty hyped and we were trying to get to the end as quickly as possible by working together. So while I was finding my way into the nether, Chris at this point had already found the first ender pearl of the game. With everybody online hyping each other up about what we could do within 12 hours, we were moving pretty fast. I found a fortress in the nether and went to the blaze spawner to build a very basic blaze farm to get all the blaze rods we needed. At this point we were doing really well, so we decided that we would meet back up in the overworld at 0, which was about 250 blocks from where we originally spawned in. But we decided it was a good place for a base because 0 is always easy to find. Everybody had to run a few hundred blocks to get there, but eventually we all gathered up at 0 and started making a little base with some random chests scattered about and some furnaces, and the whole thing was pretty unorganized. It was a mess, but luckily we had Weird there and she was friendly enough to sort the chests out for everyone and actually make it so that we could find things. But during the nighttime we were completely bullied around by mobs at our new base camp. Luckily, when fighting a skeleton I found this zombie villager and we had trapped one earlier. Chris found one right at the beginning of the game, but since we didn't have a name tag, he eventually despawned. Now this one is right at our base camp, so we built a little dirt box for him, trapped him, and he would be our cleric to give us really cheap ender pearls so that we could go and find the dragon. Chris was the last player to make his way to the base camp, but when he got there he brought with him the final piece of gold that we needed to make a golden apple so we could cure the zombie villager. And that was a really big step forward. Now the only thing we needed to get was emeralds to trade with him, which meant we had to go out to a village to make a bunch of Fletchers. The Fletchers will buy sticks off of us and they eventually gave us all the emeralds we needed to make a sweet deal with our cleric for ender pearls. Once the emeralds were taken care of, everybody gathered back together at base to trade them with the cleric for ender eyes and start our quest for a stronghold. Eventually some people fell behind a little bit and we had to wait for just a minute, which we did next to this island over here, and at this point we're literally about 30 blocks from where the portal room is in the stronghold, but we had no idea that it was so close. So once everybody got there, we just kept traveling. Eventually we threw another ender eye and it told us to double back, so we went back to this island and took a wild guess as to where the stronghold could be and dug our way down. We dug down and found ourselves in a cave system, so we decided to just walk around and look for signs of stronghold structures connected to the caves. Eventually everybody kind of split up and went in different directions just looking for a sign, and I decided that it wasn't working, so I wanted to get back up, throw another eye to figure out where the exact location of the stronghold was. And this is where I messed up terribly, because at this point I have all the emeralds we had left on me, I have all the ender eyes on me, and I'm digging straight up like an idiot, which led to me drowning myself because I also didn't have a shovel. I found some gravel, ended up underwater and couldn't make my way out of it. So I was in full-fledged panic, trying to find any way to get out, and I really couldn't. So I just drowned like a total dumbass. And this set us back several hours because it took about an hour and a half to get everything ready after. While I made a trip to get more emeralds to trade with the cleric, C went to the nether again for new blaze rods because we had also lost that. In the meantime, back at our base, Weber and Weird were setting up some infrastructure and starting the construction of our first farms and first houses. Chris had built a nice house there, and Weber was actually working on a skyway to bring some villagers over to our base location. Pretty soon after I died, Ollie had found the stronghold and he found the portal room. So by the time we found new ender eyes, gathered back up in the portal room, waited for Ollie to finish his lunch, and started a dragon fight. And it would turn out to be a very, very strange fight. First of all, the terrain was a bit weird because there were a lot of hills and mountains on the End Island, but that was okay, we could navigate that. However, the dragon never ever landed, he just wouldn't come down. So after we got rid of the end crystals, we were having a very, very hard time getting any damage in. We had our bows, of course, but we didn't bring enough arrows to have unenchanted bows and kill the Ender Dragon with just our arrows. So at some point we started trying to get creative hits in by towering all the way up and placing bats in the sky, but it was way too hard and unpredictable where the dragon was gonna go. His wings would hit us before we could hit him. And eventually we got to the point where we decided we had to go out for new arrows, because if this dragon was not gonna land, we had no way of killing him. So we stashed our essential gear in a chest on the End Island, jumped into the void and went out to hunt for chickens. Until with new hope and new arrows, we could get back into the fight and find a dragon that was even more glitched than it was before. This guy was going crazy. And I'll actually play you this part in full so you can see what happens. I'm getting back to this chest to get my gear, and it appears that the dragon tries to land behind me, but instead of settling down, he gets trapped between these pillars that we were building trying to get up to him, and he's just barrel rolling around. It looks like he's trying to take off and fly away, or trying to land, but he can't. And he is basically in flying mode, but on his landed position. And we could get nowhere close to him because he has this massive hitbox and it's just flailing around trying to hit anything. So we ended up having an easy kill with arrows, but it was such a crazy fight. Nothing here went as it should have. But eventually, after just riddling him with arrows from one spot that was just far enough away, we did manage to kill him. And while I was preparing to go to the end, I get this pop-up because C already made it. And in chat, you see him type to watch this. While I'm running up this mountain, we get the achievement Sky is the limit. And that made C the first player to get an Elytra. And he did it pretty quick because he actually joined in later than the server started. So he was a few hours behind, but beat all of us by a distance in getting to the end. Eventually I did manage to find an end ship myself, built a tower up there and got my own Elytra. I used the Elytra to go on a few End City raids, but I had only iron leggings and a chainmail chest piece on that I had found on the ground somewhere. And this was not a good idea, and eventually I did make a mistake. At that point, it was time to go back to base and see what everybody had been up to, and they had been busy. It was looking really, really nice. We're going into the house that Chris built here. Weird is showing me around as she organized all the stuff there. The whole compound is surrounded by bamboo and berry bushes, so no mobs can get into it. And it's looking really cool here. So I wanted to add a little bit to the scenery and went up on a mountain to build a house there, which I never finished because at this point I was really tired and regretting the decisions I made earlier. I felt like I wasted so much time by dying twice. At the end of the day, it looked like Weird, C and Chris did a good job on the server and they managed to get to their goals. Chris made a really cool house. Weird was in charge of the compound and it looked great. She put so much work into it. And C actually set a very clear goal for himself. He wanted to get his elytra during the day, and he did. I ran myself into a wall because I tried to do too much and take too much risk, and it backfired completely, losing hours of progress. And Weber was actually working extremely hard during the day. He had been super busy getting to a major milestone where we could have villagers at the compound, only to find out that all the villagers in the village that he bridged to had died. I think this Speedy Saturday taught us that 12 hours is a lot of time, but also it's really not. And we tried to bite off more than we could chew, and it came back to haunt us. But in the end, we did have a lot of fun this day, and the compound that we made looks really cool. And I'm pretty sure that the next one will look even better. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you on the next edition of Speedy Saturdays. If you're not in the Discord yet, find the link down below in the description, visit us, and get on board, because this is only gonna get better from here. For now, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you on the Speedy Saturdays soon.